The insider threat as it relates to sensitive information involves human beings that have authorized access to the data from their work computer, or they've been given access to some physical premises where the data resides. They don't need a computer, but as long as they can get to the building, then they could be a threat. Traditionally, a discussion of the insider threat involves an insider that intentionally commits some malicious act, and these insiders are often influenced by external threat groups like spy agencies, criminal enterprises, and corrupt competitors. Internet access has really given the intentional insider the quick ability to push data outside of the environment. But it's also created a different kind of insider threat, which I've always referred to as the unintentional insider threat. What happens is that these criminals and these spy agencies and sometimes corrupt competitors can really just send an email message to a targeted group of users in a corporation, or they could spam the entire email address space. And within the email message, there could be a malicious link or a malicious attachment. And then once the user clicks on one of those things, it really gives the external threat group complete remote access to the environment from the outside. The unintentional insider could be the biggest threat today in cyberspace because all the external threat groups have transitioned their social engineering methods to cyberspace. Falling on financial hard times has always been the fundamental indicator that an insider is at risk. The recent credit crisis and economic downturn has really created an interesting time right now for high-risk insiders. Other common indicators are unresolved conflict and work disenchantment, and both of these things, if left unnoticed, can cause insiders to do a variety of things over time that are not good for organizations. Some of the cyber indicators of insiders that are at risk include installation of unauthorized software on their work computers, printing critical data in bulk, exporting data from databases that's outside of their job role. And those are typically what we see when people are doing that they're in the process of stealing information before they're going to resign from the organization. The most common insider cyber behavior that we see these days is the attachment of corporate files to non-corporate web-based email. And then that information is immediately outside of the environment. First and foremost is just understanding what data you have in the environment and where it's located. Unfortunately, it's the where part that has become problematic because over the last 20 years, IT environments have expanded rapidly and the data has leaked out all over the place on the inside. Once you know what data you have and where it is, it's important to develop some type of data classification program so that everyone knows what's sensitive and what's not. And until you know where the data is, what it is, and how it's classified, you can't really even begin to think about countermeasures to the insider threat. Every computer has a burned-in, unique network address in the network interface card. So you want to develop some type of technology or program in-house that prevents somebody from walking into your building and connecting a laptop that has what's called a MAC address, a Media Access Control Address, that's not authorized for that location. Collecting all network traffic at internet access points has become critical to the investigation of the insider threat and also hackers. So if you've collected network traffic over time and you believe that you have a problem, this will give you the ability to investigate whether an insider has pushed information out or an outsider has found their way in to steal the information. Have a proactive capability for scanning computers in the environment, and I'm not really talking about traditional techniques like anti-spyware, antivirus software. The threat groups on the outside, the spy agencies, the sophisticated criminals, have developed techniques to avoid detection through those strategies. So having some innovative, creative way to pull or scan all of your hosts will enable an organization to see problems a lot sooner. Finally, we see a lot of organizations doing background checks during the hiring and recruiting process. And once you've identified your sensitive data and where it's located and who has access to it, organizations should think about continuing to do the background checks on a periodic basis. And that period of time when you redo the background check is different for every organization. But that really gives companies the ability to see financial distress coming before the insider does something wrong.